think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen. I guess you want to do it, Nate?
The intro or
We're already rolling. Fuck this. This is gonna be chaotic. Welcome to Paradise Episode 2. We don't know what we're doing. This is the DM's talk. We talked about this like 5 minutes before recording, not even. Oh, and we lost an Owen. See, we're off to a great start. So, I'm gonna pretend that I'm pulling up notes so I can think about what I'm gonna say. Where did I leave those notes? Um, I swear. Oh, here we go. Oh wow, yeah, I still had a whole bunch of fucking questions. All right, we're good. So, I guess we wanted to open it up and talk about homebrew for a little bit because that seems like a good conversation starter. Fucking word. Maybe we could have a good conversation, but who knows? So, um, what is homebrew? Um, I don't want to do all the talking. We have four. I can do fucking math. Maybe I shouldn't do all the talking.
no?
Someone want to know
There's five of
the
us, Wes. Oh, now
yeah.
there's four.
All
Now there's
right.
four.
Well, does someone want to talk about what homebrew is? Define homebrew.
You're the one
Okay.
who homes the brew.
Back to me. So, homebrew is basically you lifted your hand. I thought you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay,
I
do
I
it
can
then.
do a really shitty explanation of it, but I can get an explanation of it. So, homebrew is like homebrew is content that we bring in from outside the game, and it's normal resources that we use for our campaigns, one shots, adventures, etc., etc. And we bring them into the D&D setting and make them a reality in the game.
Yeah. So that I don't know why you called it really shitty. That was actually a pretty good explanation. Homebrew could be anything. It's as he said, external rules that we've brought into the game that mesh well. And that's kind of the general rule. It has to really mesh well into the game in order to work, I guess, and not break your game. But it could be anything from a homebrew class to a homebrew entire world. You could do a homebrew race, homebrew feats, homebrew weapons.
You can
Um,
even
just
homebrew some of your own rules that you don't really like for the base rules.
exactly. You can change and or create your own rules. Like good segue is like what homebrew rules do I really use in my games. Thinking about it, I actually don't have a lot other than the main one, which is kind of really what goes for a lot of your DMs, is Wes says. The rule number one, Wes says. What Wes says, just go with it. Um, rule number one, Wes says. Um, rule number two, criticals are fucking boring, so I made a better critical rule chart. Um, I don't want to give it away. Make it yourself, losers. Yeah, secrets. Um, but yeah, it's. I don't know if it's broken or not. We still have to use it for a little bit longer. It hasn't been too broken.
Yeah, it's just made it more fun.
Yeah,
What
a little bit more fun.
that's
Yeah,
what
nice
it's
jugs.
supposed to. Thank you.
Hot. Um, yeah. We know what we're doing. I don't know. How do you make a homebrew thing? Liam, how do you make a homebrew thing?
Well, first you gotta start off with what you want. Like, start off by looking at either other people's homebrews or even just the basic rules and start off from there. If you want to make a weapon, look at the different types of weapons, build off of that. If you want build um like your own style of rules or switch your rules up, do that. Um, like one of the rules, one of the homebrew rules that we like to use is defender wins, because it just makes
I
more
forgot about
sense.
defender wins.
It, it, some homebrew
Yeah,
rules just make the game seem more realistic for what a fantasy game could be, but seems more like plausible to happen. It's like if you have two people clashing swords together, if you roll the exact same as their AC, that means you should be hitting them blow for blow, meaning nothing gets through.
I really thought Defender. I thought I've seen Defender wins before, like in the books. I didn't know it was homebrew.
No, it was
Pretty
homebrew.
sure we had
no,
this conversation, but
we checked the book and it was attacker wins, and we are like, that's stupid. Change. I think in the more modernized versions, I think it's defenders wins, but in 3.5, it is
Attack.
winners. The attackers win. That's the word. Um, yeah. So like what Liam said perfectly, you gotta start off with an idea and check in with the rules because like the main thing with homebrew is like adding something new. And if there's something in your game, Dungeons and Dragons, that already exists, then you don't need to make this homebrew rule because it already exists. And the other side of that coin is it has to mesh well into the rules. It has to not be game breaking. Yeah, well said, boys. Do you have anything to add on about homebrew stuff, Owen?
Um, I would say don't do too many of homebrew stuff for your campaigns because what I did is basically like 60-40, 60% homebrew and then the rest was D&D.
Mm,
So
especially as a new
would
DM, start small.
start start with like what you guys were saying and
Yeah, don't
not
start off with a whole class like I did.
yeah, and not over complicate things because what I did, it's like just to confirm like everything and get everything jotted down just for like a 4 week thing.
Yeah,
And we got a flute.
very nice. We got a floof. I was distracted by the floof. I thought I had something to say. I was like, yeah, and I'm like floof. Um, yeah, definitely for newer DMs, start smaller. But if you're ambitious and you have the drive, like Owen had the drive, fucking go for it. Because your imagination's the fucking limit with this game, honestly. Um, I think that just about wraps it up, don't it? Let me pull out another question here. Ah, you know what? This is a fun one. Let's talk about DM style versus DM skill. What makes a DM style different than their skill? And let's talk about our style of DMing. 'Cause I have a very particular way I DM, and like if I break it down to you guys, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you do that sometimes, huh?" Um, yeah. There was a lot of words there, but not exactly a good way to start off. What makes DM style different than DM skill?
Well, your style depends on your skill. You know, when you start a DM in a game, you can't just, it's a work in progress. You aren't just a good DM to begin. It's a lot of trial and error, so you can't get fancy with it as much and like take up your own style until you understand the base rules. And that helps if you've played the game before. But if you like just go in starting as a DM, like say you're a new group of friends that want to play D&D, none of you guys have played it, and so you don't have prior experience as a player, it's a lot harder to start off as a DM and develop your own style until you have that skill. So I think they're definitely proportional to each other in that way.
I kind of have to agree
Yeah.
and disagree a little bit. Um, the reason for that is because, like, you could still have a style of DMing even if you're like brand new to the game, because it comes out while you're prepping. As you're prepping the thing, you'll figure out how your style is. It was like for me, mine when I started um DMing, I immediately found that I was more of like the twist style DM. Like everything wasn't exactly what it seemed.
Right. So what I like, I don't think that's not necessarily the point I was trying to make. I was trying to say that like your style is proportional to your skill level in the way that as you develop more skills, your style comes out more because you
Yeah.
can deviate more from just the base rules and add more
Yeah,
elements
I get
from
it.
like your own thing. Yeah, so your point still stands. I was just
Okay, so one
saying
second.
that.
Hmm. No, I completely agree with both of you. I think skill and style is definitely proportional to each other, but it's not necessarily the same thing all the time. Well, it's not the same thing. This is the point we're trying to make, Wes. Get your head in the game. Sorry, I was got distracted by something across the room, and I totally zoned out. I like looked at myself zoning out. I'm like, oh fuck. So bear with me. My brain is off. Um, like everyone's got to have their own flair. Like Liam, like Liam said, his was the DM Night Shyamalan. That was also what I was thinking of. Because I'm pretty sure Nate made that joke earlier, but he didn't make the exact joke. So I was like, DM Night Shyamalan. Nice. Me, I take two things into account is how like what my players want and what my players want out of the game and what I want out of my story. Is the rule of cool is I always think about the rule of cool. Um, if my players think of something badass that they want to do, fucking go for it. And the other thing is I'm a very story driven DM. Anytime I've tried to DM a non-story driven campaign, I have not done well. But like going in and like having a good story and watching it unfold, it's good. And that's like, and that's why in a lot of my sessions, I don't really care for combat. Like I've had a few DMs where it was just combat. There was not really much of a story, and if it was there at all, it was, hidden beneath the hours of combat that we had to do to get through it. And I've always taken a negative experience to that because I just find D&D combat tedious and boring at times. And unless you have a cool character that can do all this cool shit, you're just kind of being there like, yay, pass my turn. And so I just like more story driven, and I like not to take stutter, not taking necessarily like um real world real world politics into my game, but I like having bit of a political system. Honestly, developing my world before I developed any of the story, I know exactly how each of my country's militaries work. My lore goes deep. It's gross. Save me from this hell. This is my girlfriend. Yeah, and I know. Do you have you found your certain flair on your first go, Owen?
I think I was more of like a. I, I think I was more of like a story based DM since that's basically what I did with like just I tried to do like the best story I could from Diablo. Like like I knew I couldn't do the whole Diablo 2 storyline in the like one shot, but I I just wanted a couple like points to like get into it.
Yeah, man. And I think on your next go, if you want to run Diablo 2 Part 2, that would be fucking great. I would love to go back and play Ogdo Bogdo. Um, but honestly, I want to urge you to try and go for a little bit more of a story driven one shot, because like I think I really want to do a murder mystery one. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Oh,
Maybe
break
for
out the
Halloween.
Yeah, that
Owen,
would
Confederacy
wink, wink.
books.
I don't know, boys. Murder mysteries is always fun, and we can even talk to one of the players like beforehand and be like, "You are the murderer. Don't tell anybody."
You and I've
And
actually
then
talked about
for a
this
session,
before.
have you actually? See, great minds think alike.
Like I swear me and you have had a conversation like this before where we like try to get a murder mystery
Dude,
going.
we've thought of so many different one-shot ideas. I was literally like driving on the road and I was like, dude, it would be so much fun to do a wasteland campaign, like
Oh yeah.
zombie apocalypse or something crazy like that. And I'm like, man, I should write it. No, 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 wait, I'm balls deep into my campaign right now. I can't be thinking about this right now.
yep.
At the rate my campaign's going, it's probably just going to be a bunch of one-shot ideas combined into a story.
Dude, I mean that would be crazy though. Imagine like a time shifter campaign where like, in one the first session we're in the fantasy and then we're like switching, we're in the fucking like steampunk and then we're in the wasteland and we're in space. Then like shit keeps warping. We have to figure out why we're warping. I don't know.
I think you just got me my motivation now, because I haven't started at all and I've only had one thing prepared.
Well, there you go, homie. That would be so cool.
Pull up the notes so I don't forget that.
Hmm. Nate, buddy, you still with us?
Yep.
Yeah, you want to talk about your one shot? We're just kind of chatting about one shot ideas now. You're kind of brewing with ideas. I know you want to run a Yu-Gi-Oh one shot. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I am planning to do a one shot for a Yu-Gi-Oh homebrew that leads into a campaign. And I have multiple ideas that I want to do. I would like to, there's some things in the Yu-Gi-Oh verse that I would like to expand on. That there are a couple of arcs from different shows that I think could use some expansion on and could use like an explanation as to how people got to the way they are in the shows and manga. So there's a lot of possibilities that I can work with, and I'm really excited to explore those
Hell
as
yeah. No, honestly, that'd be really
programming.
cool.
In my, I just did a one shot like I did a one shot like 2 nights ago with my housemates while the power was out. And I have found, and then from the one shot that I had in high school, I have I have found to be like a more casual dungeon master. I generally just let the players have fun and give them a variety of options, and then let them choose what they want to do. Um, and just let them do whatever they want to do within reason, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Like keep it like relatively non-chaotic, but let them roam and do what they feel like they want to do instead of
Hmm.
just railroading them or like strong suggestions down a specific pathway.
Hmm. You know, I actually have a good question about railroading and shit, which I'd like to get a good discussion about
A perfect
because, you know,
railroad into the new segment.
hey, because I don't know, sometimes I feel trying to run a story that I'm afraid I'm railroading you guys. And so, like, you know, let me pull up the actual question because past West writes better than present West can think. Yeah. How do you, as a DM, go about trying to write and guide these players upon a story with and make like kind of railroad them to be able to follow your plot without the players actually feeling like they're being railroaded?
Um,
What is this door? Am I gonna wait a few seconds in silence and answer my own questions? Come on, boys.
I
You are
can
gonna answer
go.
your own question.
I'm
I can
just
go.
trying to think of if I did it in my campaign.
Honestly, it's hard to know if you're railroading or if your players actually feel like they have agency.
Okay,
I
so
think I did the one time where when you guys were trying to go through that one door
The
that I didn't
fucking
want you to
door.
go through just yet, because you
But you
guys
actually did that well.
you guys always decided to go to the left, and the one time I wanted you to go to the right was the
Dude,
one time
it's
you
that
fucking
saying,
didn't.
left is always right. Right is also right.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Sorry, Nate,
But
you were saying
I
something.
think that was the only point that I actually somewhat railroaded you guys.
um typically what I've done is um I have avoided railroading as much as possible, and when I have railroaded, it's as gentle and as lightly suggestive as possible. But typically, what I do is that I tie all the paths that the players can choose. Like, I take all the paths that the players can choose and tie them to significant story events that will happen later down the line, so that all of their choices have some significant meaning to the main story, no matter what they pick, rather than like guiding them down, trying to guide them down one way and have no story meaning behind, or little to no story meaning behind every other choice, just to make it interesting and more variable, and therefore have more replayability when I play that adventure again with the same people.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I don't know. A lot of tricks that I do um are, kind of, I thought what you were saying, but then you said something else and I was like, "Oh, sometimes a fork in the road just leads to the same destination." Just sometimes, if they go this way, same thing happens if they go this way. Guess what? If they go this way, same thing that happens over there. If they go that way, don't go that way. That's stupid. See, like exactly what I do right there is like I sometimes I'll just be like, don't. Why are you making that decision? Don't do that. Let's just go this way. But the three other options, they still lead to the same way, no matter what decision they make. So they feel like they have agency without actually having agency.
I think another thing that should be said when it comes to like to railroading and whatnot is railroading campaigns and railroading one shots can be two completely different things in a way. Because like a one shot, you don't really have a full fleshed out story, so you need some type of narrative device to get you in the right direction. Whereas in campaigns, you like Nate was saying, you can, or in US, you can have it where all roads lead to Rome in a way.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I also think railroading only sometimes exists in a campaign because, if you have players eager to want to watch the story unfold, they're not gonna run in the opposite direction of the story.
Mhm.
So, and that, like what you were saying, railroading like only really exists for like campaigns, especially like my campaign, which is like more of a sandbox style.
Mhm.
Though I haven't let you guys sandbox it a little bit because you guys have been going through the story mission, so to speak.
Um,
Um,
oh fuck, I had something with what you just said, but now I can't remember what you just said. Fuck. Oh yes. With the railroading.
Railroading
Fuck.
only really exists in a sandbox, with
Fuck.
players go the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, it said there's a like with players definitely, and sometimes I know that at least I've seen that sometimes players are either like really dedicated to playing their character in a certain way, which as much as they want to do the story, it can end up forcing themselves to throw it off course, or or in the opposite way, some people are willing to like step aside from their character, like you said, for a second, just so that they can make sure that the story continues. So it also depends on your players' dedications in that way.
hmm and especially bringing in character motives on their own and wanting to play their characters a certain way. Another great tool I use is literally tying my characters' backstories into the story and guiding the story to be able to explore their backstories. Exactly like what I'm doing with Yonatan currently, and as we're discovering with Tobin, like things will start to unfold, and like people will want to see it happen, like so to speak. Like I don't know if that made sense, but we're gonna roll with it anyways. Like people want, like what James said, people want to play their characters, and people like, and of course in my campaign table, you have to bring a backstory to my table. Um, Purely so that I can tie you in, and so then we can explore your characters. So that not only are you eager to watch my story unfold, you want to see your own story expand.
Yes, I would generally agree with with your statements and how you would approach railroading and letting players have their stories evolve and unfold in the way that they would want, but also unfolding and evolving your story in the way that you have mostly intended it to be. Um, I just want to add to that for a hot minute or a cold minute, depending on your perspective. Um,
I'll go for a lukewarm.
okay, cool. Um,
Thanks.
I think it is a I think it is a very it's a very delicate balance because not only are you trying to balance the story that you are telling between role playing, combat, exploration, adventuring, role playing player character, role playing to from character to NPC. Uh, you're also trying to balance the DM's fun versus the you're trying to balance the DM's fun with the player's fun. There's just so many things. There's so many what's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
Variables.
there's a lot of
Variables.
variables and a lot of tangibles that come with balancing your game out so that as many people as possible can enjoy it. You know, a lot of groups vary from person to person, and those people have their own play styles, their own preferences between combat, role play, exploration, etc. The DM has mostly different DM from one game to the next. You could have one game where it's like a more serious vibe, and then the next campaign you could have like a more casual vibe. And it's a lot to handle all at once. And
I completely agree.
it's a lot to handle at once, and like to be able balance that to balance all those tangibles and variables equally and without bias is a very difficult thing to do. And the that's where I appreciate the DM and the players when they are able to strike that balance. And even when that balance goes off by however little or however much, they just stay calm, they roll with it, they don't like get uppity about it to a disruptive level. Like if it gets uppity, you pull the player aside, obviously, and like address the issue, or the DM if you're the player, and address the issues that you have. That is what I appreciate in players and DMs.
Yeah, of course. And like, as what Nate was saying, DMing requires a lot of skill and a lot of management. But, like any other skill in life, anyone can fucking do it as long as you put the time and effort into trying and get yourself into the door. You can do anything. And, just and so DM skill, it's really just a ladder to climb. And that's all it is compared to finding your own flair as a DM, like we were talking about earlier. And yeah, and honestly, it does go to a lot of player appreciation to um, sometimes put up with a DM. I know, especially at the beginning of the Boundless Shores, I was really rusty in my DMing skills. And, my players put up with it. And then we started getting the ball rolling, and we are all now kind of getting into a spot where we're all getting comfortable with the role playing. I'm, finding my voices again, and we're getting the story unfolding. I'm, remembering how to manage combat. And yeah, it just requires a moment to watch me cough. It requires a just time, a little bit of effort, and patience. And anyone can DM. I swear to God, all of these guys here, all of these guys have just recently or are going to recently soon or recently DM'd or going to DM soon words. Um, and it all just takes, step by step. Hmm, nice. You know what? I Here's a good open-ended discussion topic. So we were talking about earlier about one-shot ideas. How about let's talk about ways to start your adventure that's not you all meet in a tavern.
I feel like how I did it was kind of good, and also I kind of stole from something. But how did you guys like that intro?
It was good.
Hey, you're finally awake.
You walked right into that Imperial ambush, right?
Same
Got
as
caught
us and
trying to
that
cross
horse
the
thief
board.
over there.
Same as us. And that horse thief over there.
No, I completely agree. Sometimes it's better to just start on the adventure.
Yeah.
And starting on an adventure, it's like right on the road. It's really easy on the DM's part. You don't have to worry about beginning your adventure, so to speak. You could just do your adventure. But it just leaves a little bit more agency to the players to be able to role play amongst themselves as if they know each other without knowing each other beginning the adventure, so to speak. Like
Like
it is a
when I
good way to.
was
Yeah, go ahead.
when I was preparing my campaign, I didn't even think of how I was going to begin the campaign until we actually started. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to start this? Just go with the classic. All right, you all wake up on a cart. What do you do?
Fair enough. No,
Heading
it's
into town.
starting right on the adventure is great. Like what I did is starting the TBS was just, hey, all of you took a job, you stayed overnight, and now you are being woken up to go on the adventure. Pretty much the exact same thing, but kind of limiting that player agency a little bit because now the characters really don't know each other because they all took the job individually.
Yeah.
And again, like moreover, what I started on with my campaign was a dream sequence that all my players had simultaneously, even though no one knows it, I guess, but they all had that dream. They didn't really talk about it with each other.
With my campaign, 2 1-shots that I did, I'm actually surprised. I just went back to look at my first 1-shot notes. I didn't do the you started at tavern. I actually started with a rumor, and that everyone
With an Uber?
rumor.
Oh, a rumor.
um, that like I as Owen did, I kind of stole the something from Skyrim, um, where everybody in there was a rumor where there was this town where everyone was having nightmares. So a group of adventurers got together and made their way there.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That was crazy. I ran a healer, and then we were putting an anti-magic zone.
Yep.
Man, guys, almost sounds like he's still salty about that.
Um,
Ah, really?
Dang.
Huh.
I know. I know one thing I was thinking about is to set the tone for my campaign. I kind of wanted to because as much like I do really like D&D combat, and I want to try to find a way to make it more story based, like within combat. And so I know one thing I wanted to do is instead of like the whole meeting in the tavern trope, I kind of want to be like, okay, introduce your characters and roll initiative, you know, like as if they were in the middle of a fight, and they're a group that have obviously been working together for whatever reason, and that's why, you know, they're together fighting whatever they're fighting. But I think it'd be a cool way to just like right off the hop get things started, as well as introducing, like, setting tone and introducing the characters.
Yeah, that I honestly really like that opening, and I think you totally should do it for your um one shot. And like what he was running, what he was planning on running is actually using the campaigns from my or the characters from my campaign in his one shot. Um, because it like technically my world is like a collaborative base where a couple of one shots and my previous campaign are all tied into this campaign that I'm running. You know, Liam, someone else, and uh, and my previous campaign are all tied in, and you know, James also wants to hop in and tie his into the campaign, but instead of it tying into the past, it's tied into the like the present, where you know it'll be James um on the helm and I helm, is that the right word? Fucking, and I just get introduced as this extra PC that comes and goes. Bing bang boom. Now we have a reoccurring NPC that's dope, right? I've been watching The Dark Crystal, 'cause Callie wanted to show it to me, and it's fire. And I really like the Skeksis characters. They're really fun, and I like their voices, and I really want to run a character with a voice like theirs. Yes, very good. That is was wonderful. Shit like that, like it would be so much fun. I want to run a crazy person again. Skizzer was crazy. I want to run crazier.
Okay.
Yes, very good.
Um, okay. Um,
Get us back on track.
my thoughts on this topic that we're on. Avoiding the you all walk into a tavern or you're already in a tavern and do whatever. Um, I think there is a time and a place. There's times and places for having a brief start and having a more like a more brief generic start and then a less generic intertwined explanative start. um so like uh with the one shot that I did a couple of nights ago, I wanted to just get into the thick of it right away because like with my player group, they wanted to get into the action right away and not focus as much on like character backgrounds or reasons why they are where they are. Um, and so I took that into account for starting a campaign or the one shot that I was doing. And there are also times where if you have the time and you have the patience and the energy to go through each character's background and like get an in-game explanation as to why they all meet up at one spot and decide to group up or party up and go on an adventure together. I think that is a dynamic of character building and party making that I really enjoy. Um, Obviously, I always prefer an in-game explanation as to how the characters got where they are now and how they got into a party together. and have logic behind everything. Unless I want to have no logic on things. Or no apparent rhyme or reason for why things are, and reveal it later down the line, or just not do that at all unless the characters work hard enough to get that explanation. Um, I typically go with what the players' backstories and comeuppances into the setting are, and then make an in-game explanation as for how they got together with those several backgrounds and backstories and where they are and what kind of things that they do, for example.
Yeah, no, like exactly what's you basically described exactly what's happening with the Boundless Shores party right now. Is that they all individually took a job and then became fugitives in that one country, and were able to flee the country, and they've just kind of stuck together, working together, and like there's no apparent rhyme or reason for them to all be in a party together. But and I can tell you for a fucking fact, I'm the fucking writer, bitch. um, I can tell you for a fact the party is a lot more intertwined than they think they are, and it's gonna be a lot of fun watching it unfold. And and that's what it is. It's like right now I kind of have to urge my players with something because right now they're mercenaries and they want to go around doing jobs to make money, so they're not going to do jobs for the good of mankind until they understand what's really going on. And like that's the joy, but also sometimes the struggle of you know trying to unfold my story and give my players little niblets, so then they'll follow along. And I hope I'm not revealing all my secrets in this discussion to the players. They're gonna we're gonna go into the next session and be like, oh, we know how this guy thinks.
I'm about as confused as anybody. I just happened to find the message that you wanted to say out of
That was
character,
fucking crazy. I
just by
actually want to talk about that,
just by pure happenstance.
dude. So if you watch last episode, which I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably watching the campaign. If you're not, you should. It's really good.
That reminds me, we're up to 12 subscribers now.
Woo.
Hey, shout out to the
Yeah.
Let's
12.
go.
Are we all subscribed to the channel?
Yes.
Okay. So like 7 of us are us.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 5 of you though. Yeah, I thought the last episode was doing like really shit for views. And then I checked back and I was
No,
like, "Oh, we've already got like 4 views in 2 days. Never mind." And that's good
no,
for us. So,
9 of our subscribers are us because I have 3 accounts. Remember?
oh, you
So
shout
we're
out
all
to the
pretty
2
much
of you, I
one
guess.
source.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 4 of Owen.
What? How is there 4 of me when I have 3 accounts?
Personal,
How does that matter?
Fanrantan, Bent Fender. Oh, never mind. I'm stupid.
Personal is my FanRantan account.
So what's your third?
Ben Fender. Or
So what's your second?
oh no, I've only subscribed twice because I can't subscribe on the D&D channel.
No shit,
D&D
it's our
for some
channel.
stupid reason. It's our channel, yeah. So only 2.
So
Oh,
shout out
yeah,
to the 2 of
guys.
Owen.
Oh
Wow,
yeah,
we're
guys.
glad we can do math.
I subscribe to myself.
That same energy if you like your own pics on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck. Anyways, we were on the subject of some, and then I don't know. Um, so I don't know if anyone has any points from our previous topic to get us on track. Go for it, but otherwise, I could
Damn,
just add another
episode
question.
1 of Boundless Shores is 23 views now.
Yeah, it's
Damn.
crazy, man.
Nice. We were talking about the latest episodes and how I just happened out of
Oh,
character.
yes, you're
I
right.
happened to
Yeah,
find.
there was a message that his character couldn't read, and then he was like, I want an actual prop for this. And I was like, fuck you, I'm lazy. So he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make my own prop. And then he made his own like translation for it. And I was like, you just decoded my message. But because you did that, I changed the message a little bit. So sorry.
Naughty, naughty.
No,
Naughty, naughty.
is it naughty if I just happened upon it if I just happened to guess it by accident, or
Yeah, but it's either I change the message or you have to pinky fucking promise that you won't metagame. So I'd rather just change the message so you don't have to worry about metagaming.
okay? Uh, there's my
Mail it
pinky.
to me.
Yeah, okay.
Fuck, eh?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that's that's fine. I completely understand.
Oh, it's crazy. What's the recent episode up to now? I haven't checked it. I'm pretty sure I watched it all the way through.
I think
Yeah, I watch all of our VODs.
last time I checked, I think it was up to like 3 views.
It's up. It's
Oh,
further than that. It
it's
was
up
4
to
views.
8. It's up to 8
Hey,
comments.
Yep. Update.
Wow.
fuck yeah.
Hot damn,
Up to
boy.
8 views. The last one of this is up to 13.
Oh, I didn't watch it all the way through. 8 views. Goddamn. Nice. Shoutouts to the 8 of you. Because I know none of
Ooh,
you
boy.
watch the VODs. I
I
know
haven't
V
found.
watches the VODs and I watch the VODs. Callie is really
I
behind.
watched
She's still on episode fucking 2.
I
Oh,
haven't
she's still
found the
behind.
Fair
time,
enough, though.
mate.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
haven't.
fair enough. It's very slow burning. Because we don't leave ourselves enough time, but like we got shit to do, so we
But-
can't like go for it.
I was just gonna say I have a perfectly good reason for not watching them.
Oh yeah, my man says the editing. He has to watch him in like slow motion, basically. Like how, dude, it's incredible how you do those names. It's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope
I
the
just,
edit was good for this video, last video as well.
oh, it was great. It was, it was like so snappy. It was awesome. I just like I want to figure out a way to add the character names in.
Yeah.
Like even what if we like wrote it on in like into my screen and then you put my name on the above me, because you could
Or
put my
what
name on anywhere on the camera because I'm taking up most of the screen.
we
Um,
could do is like af- after after a little while we could switch it from our names to our character name, and then just have it like keep rotating every
that's a
like
lot of
15
editing.
minutes.
I don't want to put him through that.
I could do it where it's like we start off with our original names when we're introduced, but as soon as the um recap is
Campaign
done,
goes,
it switches to character
it
names.
switches to yeah.
Okay,
We could do
yeah,
that.
we could try it, see if it works. Cause I don't know, like even if we can like move my name to the corner of the screen, because I'm literally 3 letters. If you move my Red West up to the corner of my screen, then you have the whole bottom part to put the names on, and I just have to make sure I leave you a little bit of space if I'm displaying my map. Like I just need to move it upwards a little bit so you can have that space to put the names in.
Sure, yeah, I could do something like that as well.
That would be like a
We can
top
we
left
can
I'll mess
corner
around with it.
perspective on the
Might
map.
work.
yeah, mess around with it, and if it doesn't work, we can try just switching the names to our character names after the introductions. But I would like both of the names, so then if I'm saying Owen, people know who I'm talking to, or if I say Orgolan, they know who I'm talking to.
I do have to admit I will have to be cutting the map out now when I edit the videos because the way I do it now, in order to hide that bar at the bottom, I need a permanent black bar there, and it kind of cuts the map
Ah,
off.
yeah, no, that's fine. Fuck the map.
Plus, I figured
I mean,
like
don't fuck the map. It's so fucking pretty. I'm
uh,
so proud of it.
I figured it's been in 6 episodes, nope, 7 episodes already. So
Or even if we put if we found a way to upload the map to something, and then we could put a link to that something in the description, so you can
I
go to
like
the
that.
description to look at the map if you
That's
want.
not a bad idea.
And then
We
also in the
could
description, I want to link Owen's fucking YouTube channels also in the description, and then so he'll also link our channel in the description, help each other out,
easiest way to
small
do
creator things.
easiest way to do that, and I say easy lightly because it is a little confusing. Use World Anvil.
Oh, bitch. I don't have enough notes. I wish. Oh my god, I wish that my world would look so pretty on World Anvil if I actually had enough notes. But I just don't have the time to make that many notes. Unfortunately, I work so much and I don't make any money.
But I it's like
I do make money. I'm lying.
even if you can't put all the
It's
notes
not
on, just
enough.
you could at least put in because with World Anvil it sets up links to like a special nice looking page. So you can do it where it's like you set up the map and each city with the notes you already have on each of them.
But I mean, I think it would be cool if I put enough information on there so I upload the we upload the map on there, and then you guys can send me like files of your character sheets,
Okay, yeah.
and then we can put your character sheets on there. So then if people are like, what's Orgolan's feats? I want to see those to see what he's running so I can try it.
it's
Not that
pretty cool
anyone's doing
too.
that because we have two viewers. Shout out to the two of you. Um, But yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. And as much as I'll fucking hate it, I can, slowly but surely upload the world to that if I find the time for it.
Yeah.
I'm so busy all the fucking time. Now I'm bitching. Sorry, I need to stop bitching. Um, yeah. So I got a good discussion topic for us, and it's kind of gonna be a twist to you guys, and it's gonna make you guys think for a minute. So I don't mind Doraing for a bit. So, how can a DM fail? And how can DM's failures accept I'm going to try that again. So, how can DMs fail and how can DM's failure affect the game, and what is DM's failure versus just a bad turn of events?
Oh, one of the biggest ways a DM can fail is not listening to any of the parties' opinions on anything. Um, and go and not realize that it's not just like the DM, yes, may create the world, but it's not his world alone. It's a world that you explore together as player and storyteller.
I I guess one of the more simpler ways too is just inconsistency with like lore. There's a difference between like having to change one thing to fit like a major event, or like, just like a character brings something up that would seem important, but they just didn't remember, or like have changed it in a way that's like drastic by not um like paying enough attention to their own lore. I don't think that's an issue with you, Wes, um but like I think that could be a big issue, like if, especially
Thank
when you're
God, I was
running.
worried for a minute. I thought you were just
No,
like adding me, and I was like, "Oh my God, is my lore inconsistent?" It's just
no,
travel in the world. Literally, that's the only inconsistency
yeah,
that I hate right
and
now.
it just
Is
fits
literally
our
just travel in the world. So
deadlines.
Like
I
any
literally just have to figure it out a little bit
Yeah,
and figure out what distance is on my
yeah,
map.
and the only like big inconsistent we've had is because we had to go stop that shipment on time, and so you had to let us get back to that place within like that day's time.
Yeah, I realized that was stupid, and I said it, and I was like, "Fuck, that's not enough time."
No, yeah, yeah. I was just saying like it's a potential deficiency on like the DM's part. Like it could very well like wreck a player's experience if they, especially like somebody's really into note taking or whatever, they really like to get a feel for the world's lore to help ground their character in it. And the
Man, I
DM's,
wish I had a player like that.
yeah, right. And the
I'm
DM
kidding. Fuck you
is
guys.
just like, what? When they bring something up, or oh, that's different now. Like I said, I don't think that happens, but I feel like something along those lines could be a big issue on the DM's part. Probably the T. Oh, or best for last, that too.
um yeah, when it comes to like inconsistencies and like retconning stuff, for US you do it really well because like you talk it over with your players saying, sorry, this was something that I should have discussed earlier. So because like in terms with knees, how he has steel scales, but now they're going to be more orange. We worked a way around the story to still make it fit.
hmm Yeah, and again, back on our point of time, um, something and patience. I don't remember the second word, and I'm not gonna think about it because I have a point. It's like, just be patient with me. I'm only human, and your DM is only human, and as much as they want to, you know, deliver this massive world to you, I can't make Skyrim. I can't recreate that game. So you gotta bear with me because my brain it don't work sometime. And we're trying to figure it out and have fun as much as you guys are trying to figure it out and have fun. Like, and that's one of the biggest things I urge is let your DM have fun, for God's sake. Don't make your DM's life a living hell just for you to get a kick out of the night. Because your DM is going to go home flustered and frustrated, and he's not going to want to DM again.
I have to chuckle though how you say you can't recreate Skyrim, even though there were so many times in your previous campaign you accidentally did it.
Yeah.
Don't remind me, dude. And that's why I always say great minds think alike. Because get ready for the big audible gasp here. I've never played through Skyrim at all. I played the opening mission once or twice, maybe, and that's it. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is from Skyrim," and I'm like, "How the fuck would I know?"
Hey, I've seen this
Play through it.
somewhere.
It's an amazing fucking game.
Well, and I try to run an amazing fucking game. So if you're comparing me to Skyrim, I take that as a compliment.
Hey, I've seen this one before. Um,
At least you don't have giants making us fly to Pluto.
yeah, exactly.
And
Well,
killing our livestock every few days.
Gotta love that Skyrim physics engine.
right? So how can DM's failure affect the game? How can it affect the table? Like,
Well, at least for what I said there, that definitely like that scenario I give would definitely affect like the immersion if that's how a character likes it, or they're, even just any characters like pretty sure they know what's going on, and then it's just kind of not what's happening anymore without any of that like discussion Liam mentioned, or just any other circumstance that would kind of fuck with it. It could take away the immersion from like that character, like they have to spend this time either at a character to try and be like, huh, what's going on, or just they thought they knew this about their character or about the world, and now they don't anymore. That could definitely affect that.
Another example is, again, like with failures and stuff, is trying to railroad somebody and doing it in a way that is toxic, I guess. Like one of the people I follow on TikTok likes to role play these stories that they come across, and one of them was a DM describing two locations that they could go, but really only wanted them to go the one direction, and so it kind of um, ruined the party a little bit. But in this story, they actually did make up for what they did wrong and um, fixed it where they allowed the people to go in the other direction. They would just have to prep um, for that area instead of what they were planning originally. You did
was that Matthew Colville?
no.
Okay, because Matthew Colville had an episode exactly like that situation. Was that the Reddit one where they had like the rain falling over like the medieval?
No, this one was, like I said, this was, I think it was a Reddit story, but it was from somebody that I follow that acts out these scenarios.
What's
Um,
the channel name?
I can't remember. I'd have to search it up, which requires me to go into
Search it up and throw it in the description. Um, yeah, I could talk about a personal experience where I failed as a DM. Um, so, and one of the many times where I was burnt out in my last campaign, and
sorry. Her name was her channel on TikTok's D&D Heart.
D&D H-A-R-T or H-E-A?
HART. She
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, she does really good skits and stuff about D&D
Hmm.
and scenarios.
Yeah. So during one of the many times that I was burnt out in my last campaign, which is a separate conversation entirely, I just didn't really take care of myself, and I forced a little too much upon myself and too little of a time, and I burnt myself out, and I just didn't want to DM anymore, and that's why my last campaign ended in a screenshot of a note that I took saying I can't DM it anymore. Like, it was bad. I cried. It was not good. And I don't want this campaign to go. That's why we have these burnout breaks where I take a Tuesday and I just don't fucking worry about it. Dude, do you know how relaxed I've been all week because I know I don't have to prep for 2 weeks? I've been prepping. That's how relaxed I am, motherfucker. I will. Okay. I can't tell any of you, which breaks my heart because it's such a badass line. But I wrote the coldest fucking line, and no one wants to hear it. Like, no one outside of the campaign wants to hear it, except for Nate. Obviously, Nate wanted to hear it. He's my boy. No one else did it.
Other Nate.
Like, I was like, Callie, I
Other
wrote this cold ass line. Let me fucking tell you. And she's like, no, I'll wait till I watch it. And I'm like,
You're like,
Is it
it's
something soon?
so it's gonna be said in the next session of the Boundless Shores.
Oh, neat.
It's so cold. I'm like, oh
Find
my
out
god,
next
I'm so
time
proud of
on
myself.
Dragon Ball Z.
But yeah, sorry, off track. a time that I um, failed as a DM. Not only was it with my DM's failure, and I didn't stop to A, talk to my players and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, or B, take time to myself and be like, hey, I can't DM this Tuesday. I'm not in the right headspace. I just forced myself to do it, and that's what really took it out on the last campaign. Um, but it was I can describe the scene. So they were on the rooftop of a palace, and the party just saw the emperor get killed by a bullet that they were hired to shoot the bullet, but they didn't shoot the bullet. So they went up to the rooftop to chase who it was, and it was this big, strong Warhulk barbarian NPC and a reoccurring anti-hero musketeer, which is a homebrew class that I made because I watched the Musketeers on YouTube, or not on YouTube, on Netflix when it was on there. Oh my god, it was such a fire show. It's probably on the BBC streaming site, whatever that is. It's such a fire show, and I'd recommend to check it out if everyone could. But if you're British, fuck yeah. Um, and so it was those two characters up on the roof, and one of my players went in and tried to intervene. And a mistake I made in my last campaign is I didn't balance any of my notable NPCs. They were all min-maxed to shit. And so he got a melee attack against him. And, you know, a melee attack, it's fine. But it was a full melee attack, so he got 3 attacks, and 2 of them were criticals. They were like level 10 at this point. This guy was not only dead, this guy was buried already.
That one hit put this guy 6 feet under already. Like we didn't
Oh
even have
yeah.
to bury him. He was just 6 feet
And it
down
was
in the
and
ground.
I didn't allow him a reflex. I didn't allow him because it rolled over his AC. Like I didn't allow him any of that. And I killed one of my PCs in a cutscene. And I didn't want to go back and retcon it because I try not to retcon as much as I can. And there I didn't want to retcon. And I thought I was making the right decision at the time, but it really took it out on the player, and the player just lost all interest, and he tried to keep going, bless his soul, he tried to keep going, and he just didn't like his second character, and it fizzled out, and he didn't want to show up on Tuesday, or I believe then it was on Wednesday.
Yeah, it was on Wednesday.
um
When he did it last.
he just didn't want to show up for D&D because he'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna show up and be like, and that's it. And I felt really bad, and that's a time that I personally failed as a DM, and I hold that in my head forever because I will never make that mistake again. And that doesn't necessarily say that my player's mortality doesn't get affected. My players can die. I will just try not to do it in a fucking cutscene. But on the other hand, that character's death drove a lot of my other players to succeed. And I know in particular James's character Galithar at the time, he was really heartbroken over that PC's death, and he drove himself to be better and take up the more leader mantle of the group that was left in the gap of Hezekiah's
Demise.
demise. Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's a personal time, and I wish I could go back in time and fucking cuss myself out because that was a wrong decision, and now it's just more of a learning curve. Is how can DM's failure affect the game? First and foremost, it can leave a negative experience, like we were saying, but it also can lead to improvement and self-improvement on the DM's part, and they will recognize I shouldn't have done this. I'm going to do something else instead of this if this situation ever arises again, because this was a stupid decision, and not only did my players not have fun, I didn't have fun, and now what fucking year and a half later, I'm still thinking about that one moment because it was the wrong decision. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add before we maybe go on break? Because we've been recording for a while and I've been needing to pee for the last half hour.
I don't think so.
Said
Liam,
my
Liam, you
piece.
look like you're thinking something here.
Uh, it's kind of like not on the topic of failures, but it's more or less new DMs starting campaigns and like the anxiety of it, more or less. Um, cause, cause like I was really anxious starting a campaign and running it for all of you guys. But one thing I have to say is that when you get into it and your players really enjoy it, you completely forget about all of your anxiety and can do it for hours upon hours without
Of
realizing.
course. Yeah.
I
Oh, and like, go ahead. Sorry.
I compared like the anxiety of DMing to the anxiety when I would perform when I was in the choirs, like at school. Like there's like a little bit right before you go up that you're like, oh fuck, how is it gonna go? What do I do if I fuck up? Uh, how how are people gonna think if I fuck up? And then when you actually go out and do it, it all just goes away. And whenever I would like do that, I would just nail it. Like even if I was like feeling sick like the day before, I would feel fine while I was doing that, and then feel like shit after. Like I that's how I compared like the little bit of anxiety I had was I just thought back to my experience with music.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I kind of compared it more to like any time I ran a theater show back in high school or um like going for a job interview. Like your heart's pounding, you want to get this job, but imagine you're like in your heart's pounding throat. You know, like the fucking interviewer is asking the question like, yeah, yeah. But then, like what he was comparing to choir, once the lights are on and you can't see the audience, you get in the groove and you just
And you
play
like
D&D
figure it
because
out.
we're all here to play D&D. That's what we want to do. And the anxiety goes away because we're with our friends and we're here to play a game and have a good time.
Yeah. Um, and going back to the previous point of skill versus style, um, I think I think just general life experiences and being in situations that you have to think on your feet and respond quickly, that always helps. When you have to improvise a solution or a pathway that you weren't expecting player groups that your players take. Um, and I find like uh, I am I was a high school drama nerd, and that that has helped me.
Come on, James, join me.
That has helped me improvise some solutions and scenarios that I have described to my players, and the scenarios that I have described to my DMs. Wes, you know that perfectly well. Um, like you've seen my creative genius at work.
I've seen
Um,
all your creative geniuses at work. That's why
yeah,
I'll call you stupid, and then and then if anyone else calls you stupid, I kill them.
yeah, um, yeah. So I think there's a lot of experiences that you can take from real life and put it into the game to put your own spin on it, and you can grab a lot of things from alternative or artificial settings and put them into the real world so that you can broaden your perspective on things. And I think a lot of that shapes into what your style and your skill. um your personality is your like style relates more real, at least from my perspective. Style relates to the person's like personality that they want to live and just put life into. Whereas skill is obviously from practice, whether it's been running D&D games, playing D&D games, inspirations that they have brought from their real world experiences and artificial world experiences. Skill is ultimately atonement, like refining skills that you already have. Um, Obviously, if you don't have improvisational skills to start, you're probably going to find yourself in situations where you have to prepare as much as you can before time and prepare for the possibilities the players might pick.
Yeah, I completely agree. I honestly ran my last campaign with not a lot of a story built because I knew I really struggled with my improvisational skills as a DM. And so I went in with like a loose storyline and a world, and I just ran with it. And anything that happened, happened, and anything that didn't happen, oh well. And it definitely really helped me as a DM, and really helped me improve world building and how I build a story, and how I'm now able to defer from that story. Now with my newfound improvisational skills. But it definitely did take a tax on my last campaign. A lot for me. I don't think my players really realized it as much as I did until it was really too late. But it really did help me as my in my DMing skills, and like what Nate was saying, improvisational skills are really necessary as a DM, but they're also like a learned skill. You will gain them over time, but it does help to go into it with a little bit of improvisational skills. And sorry, fellas, I really gotta fucking piss. So let's go on break, please.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go on break now, and we can do whatever we need to do, and then come back when we're and resume when we're good and ready.
Yes, sir.
Right.
To the next question. So, what was the next question again? I forgot.
That's a good
You
question.
had one job, Owen.
He
No,
asked a question.
you know what? Honestly, and I can answer that question like almost immediately as soon as I pull up the right app. What makes what makes a player like how to
How
make a
do you make
player
a
how
player
how
feel?
to oh my god, can I
How
fucking learn how to speak English, please?
No,
How
that's
to
what
make
the
a player feel special.
Sorry, that's one of the requirements of being in this group is not knowing English as your first language.
Ah, we all need to speak stupid first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stupidese is our first language.
I'm actually fluent in gibberish.
Same.
Oh, me too. No way.
That's it?
This is what I do
Oh yeah.
sometimes.
Oh yeah, I could just
And we're
have
off track.
some English.
Yeah, let's just do the
Oh
whole
yeah,
episode like this to
yeah,
end it.
Just speak in
Yeah.
Simlish.
Yeah. How do you make a player feel special? How can you know
Make his intelligence 0. Then he'll really be a special snowflake.
Well, one of the things that
we're on YouTube, Nate.
when one thing we already
I
do,
know we all thought of the joke, but come on, buddy.
one thing we
That's
already
too
do
far,
in
Nate.
our campaign is the inspiration point vote at the end.
I'm real special.
Because I find that's a good way to award good problem solving and good combat
Definitely, yeah.
prowess.
And another thing, even if you don't win, like even if you don't win the inspiration point, you'll still sometimes hear a player vote for you and give a cool reason why, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I guess that was cool."
Yeah, no, I
So it's
completely
not
agree with
even
you
like
guys.
just winning the point.
This is why I keep you around. I would have never thought of that. I didn't even think of that. Because I always forget about it, eh? I don't know. Another way that I make players feel special is, I don't know,
Neat
again, like
weapons.
how I tie my players into my story is they feel special when a part of the story is about their character and about their past, and that's what I really try to drive for, and that's why I require a backstory at my table, is because if you don't provide me with any material, I can't make anything for you. And that's why I love all my players' backstories. There's so much juice to them.
Like a $200 steak.
Yeah, except for Striker. I need fucking Striker's backstory.
Yeah, good luck on trying to get Dante to actually stop procrastinating on that.
I'm
I
gonna.
know another way that definitely makes players feel special is when you work with them to make like a cool ability or cool weapon or even just cool item that they get in general,
Mm,
and just the way that that helps tie into like the immersion for that character, for that player, getting into their character, and like, oh, like with me, I'm excited, I've got my cool stone, and then I was able to like, oh, I'm excited for combats now, I have a cool new weapon with my cool stone, right?
mm. And to add on to that is with like the cool swords and weapons, there's also the rule of cool. Just having that in your campaign will make a player feel very special, and doing at the very end of combat how you want to do this if they get the final
Yeah,
kill, and letting them describe how they would like it to play out.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Reward players for their efforts. You have a puzzle laid out. You have the solutions that but like a certain set of circumstances allow a player to figure out a solution to the puzzle that you didn't think of. Like whether it's out of character, whether it's in character, like tip your hat to them for finding a unique solution to your puzzle. Um, Reward them for exploring around and seeing what's out there in your world. Like you spend all that time making these places and they want to go out and explore that world, then you positively reinforce exploring every little nook and cranny of that world.
Oh yeah.
You encourage them to explore. Um, a lot. I mean, I've had this happen to one of my players. I've had this happen to a fellow player of mine in my first campaign. They were very quiet, shy, nervous, didn't want to speak and like have a big part of the campaign. And then like as the campaign progressed, they got more confident. They wanted to be a bigger part of that story, and they wanted to flesh out their experience in the campaign. And so like they tried their best in having a bigger part of an adventure that we
That's you,
were
Owen.
on,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
or a part of an
That's
adventure.
literally Owen's experience and my experience with Owen as a player. Sorry to interrupt. Is that during my first campaign, my man's played a half-orc barbarian who didn't say anything, and all he did was sometimes rage and swing his battle axe. And as the
He
campaign
was damn good
progressed,
at
so
it.
did his, and so did he was damn good at it. And as the campaign progressed, so did his eagerness to want to get involved. And now with after running many one-shot characters and now onto Orgolan and future, we're gonna have a lot. He's gonna have two more characters under his belt, and I'm watching his role playing improve and how he's stepping out of his shell, and it's great. It's you're doing awesome, Owen. That's my main shout out is you know Owen has been really stepping out of his shell recently, and really coming into his own as a good role player and a great combatant. As you've always been a great combatant, but you haven't really stepped into the role playing until recently. And I really tip my hat to you, is that you've been doing really well, and you've been playing Orgolan like a fucking champ. And I'm really enjoying Orgolan's character, and I'm really excited to watch his story unfold, as I'm excited to watch all your stories unfold, especially you four here. Super excited to see this shit unfold. I know two of you are gonna have some personal missions soon, which I'm super excited about because it's gonna be more off the story beaten track. Oh, my man's was zoned. Um, I know, and it's gonna be off the beaten track for the story, but you guys are gonna get to really explore your backstories and do other stuff, as I know you guys as player agency has wanted to do that. And I know Calduin has been searching for, wanting to search for Asherati artifacts, and
Ashardi
so,
artifacts and the queen herself.
oh, good luck.
Yeah.
I haven't even written that part. That's how I don't even know where she is.
All we
I
know
actually have a
is
general idea for it. But
no longer the agency.
I have two different ideas, so we'll see which one I roll with. Um, I was on a point and I totally forgot it. So, sorry. Did you have more to add to your point, Nate? My apologies for interrupting.
No, that's all
I
right.
just wanted to gas my boy up.
Yeah. So there's like so he tried to like he did his best. He tried his best to be more into role playing his character and interacting with the other player characters, and nobody praised him on that. Absolutely no one. And I was the only one. Like after the game and everybody packed up, I stayed behind. I pulled him aside and I'm just like, hey dude, like I am proud of you. Like good job for like getting out of your shell and trying to role play with the other lads and just being more interactive with everybody, including NPCs and player characters. And then we ended up being really good friends after that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And
Reward
I wish I
reward your players for trying new things.
exactly, and
Encourage
like,
it.
and I don't even think it's all always up to the DM, as Nate's been saying. It's not always up to the DM to make the player feel special. The players can make other players feel special even by just talking to each other and be like, if a player is having a personal moment with like a with an item from their past and another person comes over and asks about it, that makes a player feel special because they get to talk about their character and you guys are, you know, building upon each other and building that rapport with each other and even out of game, taking the player aside, hey, you did really good this session. I'm really proud of you, bro. Even if his name, like even our group, even if their name wasn't brought up, even for inspiration point, pull them aside. You did really well this session. I'm really proud of you, and I really think you should have gotten the inspiration point, but we all gave it to so and so. So you just really did really good this session, and everybody can make a player feel special because we're fucking all friends. Gas each other up. That's what we're here for. Oh, I poked myself in the eye. Well, we are running close to time, so I'm gonna outro her out. It was a little bit of a shorter one, but we didn't. It was just a DM's chat, really casual. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, boys, for joining me today.
A lot of fun.
I was really looking forward to this after work, chatting with you boys about the game that we all love. And I shout outs to you guys. You guys are great players and great friends, and I fucking appreciate you always. And I always appreciate those of you who are watching our channel and seeing this video, and if you've seen all the way through, fucking thanks a lot. Leave a like, do whatever, go follow Owen. Links in the fucking thing. Um, you know, shout out to you. We always appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a great night, and I'll catch you next week for our boys' fucking 5v1 shot. I'm super excited for that. Me and Owen are getting together sometime this week and making our characters.
Hell yeah.
I'm super excited for that. I hope you're ready. And we'll catch you all next week. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been the Drunkards and Dumbasses. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.